Today is a big day in KwaZulu-Natal. The Statistician-General, Mr. Risenga Maluleke, is here to present the Census 2022 results. You know, the figures came out last month. So he's here to take the Executive Council through the figures representing KwaZulu-Natal. The Executive Council has engaged with the presentation. So I'll allow the Premier to just talk us through the experience, the numbers, what they say, what they mean, and then Mr. Maluleke also will come in. Thank you very much. Those who have questions, let's ask the questions after the short briefing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kwala, and once more, good day, Mr. Maluleke and your team. We really appreciate this interaction. Members of the media, as you all are aware, that the Statistician-General released Census 2022 results last month, and KwaZulu-Natal officially received its results from the Stats SA this morning. The Statistician-General, Mr. Maluleke, and his team presented the results to the Executive Council of KwaZulu-Natal. What is of interest is that the population and housing census is one of the largest projects in 10-year cycle of our country, including the elections every 5 years. Census provides an opportunity to obtain the data on key demographics indicators such as population size, composition, households and their living circumstances, geographical distribution, and other demographics. The latest census results show that South African population grew by from 51.7% to 62 million in 2022. It also shows that all the districts in KZN have shown the increase in terms of the population growth, with eThekwini still having the highest population count of 4.2 million, and Umgungundlovu second with 1.2 million. Women also still make up the bigger percentage than men, but also what of interest as well is the population of women-led household in KZN, which also indicates that the work that we need to do needs to be informed by these results that are coming out for us. During the presentation in the Executive Council, we engaged with the figures. Although we are positioning KwaZulu-Natal as a smart province, the reality is that there is still a long way to go in terms of the connectivity. Our province is largely rural. The usage of 100% digital multimode options of data is still something that we are all working towards, and it was also presented to some of the challenges in our province. We are also pleased to hear that, amongst other things, that South African has moved fast with the electrification of the country. In 1996, the Western Cape had the highest access to electricity, and to date, as KZN, we are following with the national trajectory, as many of our municipalities, and we are doing very well in terms of electrification, which proves to the interventions that are being done by government in terms of the equitable share, the various grants that were received in terms of the electrification grants from the government. What is also encouraging is the number of households who've got access to piped water in their dwellings or inside of their yard. We're doing very well in terms of the statistics. There is also a lot of work that we still need to pay special attention to in terms of implementing the turnaround strategy on the issues of maintenance of our infrastructure, because what we would normally see is that we do a lot of investment on the infrastructure, but because of the lack of maintenance, we tend to regress in the moving with the numbers in terms of the access to those services. In the 12.4 million people in the province, we've got 10.5 million that are Black African, and followed by 1.1 million which are Indian Asian, followed by 183,000 which is classified as colored, as well as the whites, which makes up to 27,000 or more of that population. The biggest also population distribution is by age, which is between the ages of 10 to 14 and up, and to 30 to 35. And these are the numbers really that we do believe will help us in terms of our plans as government. How do we service our community, and where the services also still need to go. So in all senses, we are approaching a turning point in the management of the dwindling resources, which must address a growing, if not steady demand issues, including the negotiated wage hikes, the social wage, and even the unpredictability occasioned by the climate change. And with regards to the digitization of the census, this reminds us of the show march towards the digital world, in which the advent of fourth industrial revolution or fifth industrial revolution and the mainstreaming of the artificial intelligence it must be a reality to all of us. So both these are not far-fetched issues. They are introducing us to a massive a responsibility that we still have as the government of KwaZulu-Natal and this Executive Council, which needs to ponder on these issues in detail and continue on the basis of ensuring that these studies leads us to clarity in terms of our plans, decisive and visionary leadership that must take this province and our communities forward. So we do appreciate SG this results, and we really hope that we will also further interact with various stakeholders in our province with a view of ensuring that we all sing on the same hymn book in terms of adjusting our resources where we need to adjust and directing the resources where they need to be directed to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Premier. Mr. Maluleke, your response, please.
Just hold mics.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, listen. I don't want to tamper with your mics and they don't take all the sound. Let me thank the Premier indeed, and thank members of the media for joining us. One of the responsibilities of Census is to uphold and explain our methods and make them easier to unpack and take issues forward. So the biggest issue that we're dealing with all over the provinces and indeed nationally has been the whole matter around the undercount. So if you look at every dwelling unit that we reached to, whether we found people in there or we didn't find people. But the issue of the undercount is that we just do not do it for the sake of doing it. We use a United Nations method that allows us to conduct a post-enumeration survey right after the field work of the main census. Now, once we have undertaken the post-enumeration survey, we compare form for form, record for record, until we are able to know how many people we have missed in terms of whether they are male or female, in terms of their age cohorts, whether they are rural or in the urban areas. And we then get the weights, what we call adjustment weights, which we use for adjusting the population accordingly to the estimate of what it should be. So indeed, in every census, you will not reach out to everyone. Even if we didn't have COVID, even if we didn't have issues like unrest and floods, particularly here in KwaZulu-Natal, we would not have reached to everyone. But the post-enumeration survey since 1996 has been used to adjust the population accordingly. So as we come back and say, here we are, we have presented the numbers to the Premier. Premier, we are presenting work to you. Our work is done, but in terms of engagements going forward with members of the public on their expectations on where we have made progress or where there is lack of progress and where we need to make more progress as a nation is beyond the remits of Stats SA. One of the things that we would like to request from members of society is to open your doors more so that we can reach out, because we still have sample surveys to conduct. In the census, we had about 1.2 million households that flatly refused to be enumerated. Of course, we have made up for that in our estimates, final estimates. But having said that, we would expect a lot more cooperation with members of the public, because sample surveys require us to hold more steadily and work together to keep the snapshot of the nation clear all the time. It's not only from the side of government that we need these numbers. Members of the public need these numbers to engage with those that they elect into public office. And of course, the academia need this information. Students in their research, future generations will need these numbers. So it's what we do now that will make a difference in the future for our